Well, you know,
But
I think
that's part of it.
helped
It
you
is
with
what
that.
it is.
But before we bring a DD on, I do want to remind everybody that as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's absolutely no better time to get in on all the action. The app is super easy to use, a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. You guys can go visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. And FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. And then our official favorite sideline reporter, Aditi Kinkabala.
She is. She's the best in the business. Hi, Aditi.
Hi, guys.
Didi,
That's a wonderful way to start.
Could you run a fantasy football league combined on the same team with your husband?
I don't know. My husband doesn't really talk fantasy football with me. It's one of those like major, it's like one of his major failings. He's got all this inside information. He's got access to brilliant information and he doesn't use it.
Oh my gosh, that's stunning to me.
I mean, his friends message me, my brother's friends message me, random strangers message me, but the man who shares bed with me does not care to know how I feel about
So what
Joe
he's saying without saying is that he knows more about the NFL than you do.
That's crazy.
Or maybe he just doesn't like hearing opposing viewpoints to what he's already fixed in his head.
I like this. I like this guy.
Listen, I don't even remember who it was, but it was earlier this year. He did ask me who to play at quarterback, and it was 3 horrible choices. And I was like, is that your backup? And he said, no, that's my starter. Oh. That's the only, I wish I could remember the details.
So that's what's happened. You made fun of his team.
Yeah.
It hurt his gentle ego.
Yes,
And that's it. And now he's...
So I have played fantasy football exactly once in my life. The dear Michael Fabiano a few years ago roped me into playing in this crew. Actually, I should have seen this coming. It was I can't even remember who it was. It was a Green Bay Packers former running back, and then it was a bunch of people that used to be at the NFL Network, except for Ian Rappaport and me. And I think that ended up being my last year at the NFL Network. But anyway, so it was the first year playing fantasy football. I had no idea what I was doing. My quarterbacks were Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. My running backs were Joe Mixon and both of the Lions running backs at the time. And I got all the way to the Super Bowl against Amber Theo Harris. And I think that had I not, I lost by like half a point. Yeah.
In the Super Bowl by half.
So you leave on a high note. It's kind of like George Costanza. If that was the best, then may as well not.
I know we
anymore,
tried to
right?
get you in our league, but you spurned us. Yes, spurned? Is that the right word? Spurned?
I like fall apart here. I don't have a lot of extra time in my life right now. It feels like I do laundry all the time, that I'm not prepping or studying or doing whatever it is I need to do for my job and fixing my children food. So fantasy football. And I'm competitive. That's the problem. It wouldn't be enough to play. I'd have to wipe the floor with all your little what.
We talk trash to each other all the time. That's perfect fit.
Yeah, hey, bring it.
All right, I'm going to talk you into it for next year. Aditi, let's get to it. It's getting to the point of ridiculousness with all the injury. Like, we just talked about this. If we had told you before the season that the Browns could clinch a playoff spot with 2 weeks to go, with Joe Flacco as their quarterback, the second most players on IR, the most money on IR, averaging over 2 turnovers a game, no Nick Chubb for the season, on and on and on, you would have called us crazy. But here's where we are.
No, you would have taken it, though, right? Come on. You didn't see Kevin Stefanski running that magic? Throw him an obstacle, and he jumps right over it? You didn't see that coming?
I couldn't expect anybody to overcome what they've become. He's done a magnificent job.
I really hope that in the city of Cleveland right now and the surrounding areas, people are not calling for his head. I hope finally there is an appreciation of who they have there.
I think most of the fans have come around to where you are, where I've been, where Jason's been. A lot of people have finally come around. There are still going to be haters that every game he loses are going to want him fired, but the majority of people have come around. G had been one of the harshest critics, and he's fully come around. So,
Gee, do you know how long it's been since a Cleveland Browns head coach had 2 winning seasons, had multiple winning seasons?
Yeah, I had to come around.
I mean, were you even born then, G? G, were you even born in the mid-'80s?
See, I'm a little older than you look. Now look,
Then I look?
Then I look.
You're older than I look?
No, I'm 40, 42? I'm 42, so I was born in 81.
Okay, so yeah.
He was
you were
4
alive
when
then.
Marty Schottenheimer was doing his
but,
thing.
But to my credit to Didi, I said I came out. I had to, I had a meeting with all the people in the Kool-Aid Mafia. I said, listen, guys, we're gonna have to pivot on this one. Yes, we can't throw Kevin Stefanski under the bus for play to play. That's done. Like, he has no offensive line.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I think if he wins the next 3 games, he's a lock for he should be the coach of the year.
I can't disagree with you. I think that this is one of those things, though, that sometimes is all about narrative and politics. I think if D'Amico Ryans gets his team in the playoffs, that obviously is something that would garner a lot of attention, especially considering the mess that the Texans have been. But I'm with you on this one. I'm obviously very, very close to maybe have a little bit of bias, but I do think that the job that's been done, and the bigger piece here is that this team never quit. This team never threw in the towel. This team never thought, oh, wow, we lost our all-pro right tackle. Oh, wow, we lost our arguably best player on offense and the heart and soul of our team. Oh, wow, is our $230 million quarterback ever going to be healthy? And, oh, great, now he has the best game that he's ever had and he's done. There was none of that. None of that. Denzel Ward gets hurt and the defense doesn't give up. It's just... and especially since I live in the city of Pittsburgh, and culture is all the topic of conversation, culture within the team and who's playing hard and who's not. I think the fact that this team remained so unbowed and went out there every week, whether it was PJ Walker or 40-something-year-old Joe Flacco. How old is Joe? 38? 39?
Yeah,
He'll be 39 next month.
In January.
I mean, it really is a credit to Kevin Stefanski, and it's a credit to how level he's been from day one, that each week is the same, that he believes in his process, he sticks with his process, he believes in his team, and he's not changing everything. He's not throwing it all out the window just because he's got somebody new at the quarterback position or any other position.
Sorry about that, Aditi. One of our viewers has dubbed Joe Flacco and Kevin Stefanski Cleveland's property brothers. Do you watch any HGTV? I mean, that's pretty damn good, isn't it?
I have seen the property brothers.
Right?
They're both really tall, though, and Kevin's not tall. I mean, Joe is, but Kevin's not.
I'm not talking about the height. You can't tell height
Just
on
the
TV.
face.
The faces with the gruff and the whole thing. Like, I just imagine these guys buying a house and fixing it up like the property brothers. Look at that picture.
Yeah, it's good.
Hey, that kind of is.
I mean, I sort of have to say that's a pretty good Photoshop job.
Yeah.
Shout out to Creative Juice.
It's great.
I do think it's funny that you made Kevin the carpenter and Joe the realtor, the slick realtor.
I know, because in real life, I think it would be switched.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it makes her a fun pairing right there. There's nothing I could say that would be safe for television right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
You can text the group.
It's a lot of middle-aged women like, yeah, I like them property brothers. I like all his play calls.
Somebody's got to do a spoof advertisement, get them an endorsement deal,
Yeah.
and I think it's obvious. It's right there.
Aditi, is this
Well,
the year?
I'm about to talk to Robert Saleh, so there's a piece of me that's wondering: am I supposed to ask him why did you not call Joe Flacco? But maybe not.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Maybe I should stay away from that one.
Is this the year that it finally happens? Steelers under 500. I think it's finally happening, Aditi. They're falling apart. What say you?
I think that the bigger issue is when you've got a player like George Pickens saying that he didn't block for a running back because he didn't want to get hurt.
That's bad.
And then you've got Mike Tomlin saying, yeah, I'm still going to play Pickens. I mean,
That's bad.
there are, when TJ Watt, who is not at all a hothead in terms of someone who'd go to the media and talk, when he's talking about bad practice habits, when he's talking about not being able to get through to certain players, when you've got a head coach publicly saying that he's had a great meeting with a malcontent wide receiver who's not showing good effort, and then that malcontent wide receiver says, nope, never happened. These are very Steeler-like things. It's almost irrelevant what players are out on the field and what they're doing when you're not. Your guy Tyler Boyd said it. When you're not playing for each other, then what do you have?
Yeah, and that's always been the case in Pittsburgh. They always did rally together and play together. And there was a time when Antonio Brown was obviously becoming more of a distraction than he was an asset, and you move on from the player. And I don't know how close Pittsburgh is to doing that, but these are things that typically happen in Cleveland, not Pittsburgh. And the roles have been reversed. And I think, Bull, I disagreed with you last year when you said it. I said I am not putting a shovel full of dirt on this team's grave. Do that at your own peril. But I think with everything that's gone on this year, and particularly the division now that you're seeing between the team and perhaps the coaching staff, I think this is the year, Didi, that I don't see them winning 2 of their last 3. Because remember, that's what they have to do now with 17 games to be over 500.
And remember, they've got games against the Bengals and the Ravens. And Jay, the point here is that you always consider the Steelers part of the conversation because of that coach. Because you sit here and you say it's hard to count out Mike Tomlin. When Mike Tomlin is playing relevant football in December behind Duck Hodges, you sit here and you say, this is a man who knows how to get his team ready. But what you've seen over the last month in the city of Pittsburgh, the absolute lack of veteran leadership on offense, the disconnect between offense and defense, and the way that they bring energy, effort, focus, the public squabbling, it's just... And the fact that there's not a lesson in it. Look, Chase Claypool got shipped out of town. Mike Tomlin doesn't give up on players, and Mike Tomlin gave up on Chase Claypool. Right. And then what happened? There was a very clear sign. Hey, if Mike Tomlin is giving up on Chase Claypool, maybe you shouldn't come after a wide receiver that Mike Tomlin has given up on. Because just if in Cleveland you don't remember, the Steelers fleeced the Bears, got a second-round pick out of them for Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool spent exactly 10 games in Chicago before Chicago had to ship him off to Miami for a 7th-round pick. So you think another GM is going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, I'll give you a 2nd-round pick for your problem wide receiver? Yeah. Not when there's been an experience like that right there.
Aditi, we know you got to go. You got a 11:30 phone call. But thank you so much for stopping by, and happy holidays
for having
to you
me.
And your family.
I didn't even get to tell you about the Texans. Wait, guys, the Texans are playing great defense. And they're a lot of fun. Jonathan Grenard is a guy that's really turned it around. And if C.J. Stroud can't go, I really hope you get to see Case Keenum, just because he's such a wonderful guy. I mean, it's so hard. He led the Texans last week. I was obviously at that game. He led the Texans to an overtime win after not starting a game for 1 year, 11 months, and 8 days. And that last start, 1 year, 11 months, and 8 days prior, was for the Cleveland Browns.
And that's right. He won. Did he start against Denver?
I know you want to win, but he's a great guy. He did win. It was against the Bengals. Week 17.
Listen, he's a formidable foe, one that Kevin Stefanski is certainly familiar with. Aditi, thank you. Happy holidays to you and your lovely family.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Next week.